thought they were going to arrest me.
Oh,
And he reaches across the railing and he said, "Mr. Tackett." He stuck his hand out like he's going to shake my hand. So I reached up, shook his hand, and he said, "If you're man enough to shake my hand, I'm man enough to give you a second chance."
success isn't just about money. It's about winning in every area of life. Welcome to the Larry Holsey Podcast, where we dive into leadership, business, personal growth, investing, and family, so you can prosper the way God intended. I'm Larry Holsey, and each episode will bring you the wisdom, strategies, and motivation to help you level up in every part of your life. So if you're ready to grow, lead, and succeed, let's get started. All right. Hey, listen, welcome to the Larry Holsey Podcast. I'm excited to be with you today. And I've got my good friend here, Brian Tackett, here in Amarillo, Texas. It's a beautiful day in Amarillo.
Mm-hmm.
Gorgeous day. I love these spring days.
Yes.
So for those of you guys, maybe your first time tuning into the podcast, we talk about leadership, we talk about business, we talk about politics. Love to interview, friends and old friends and new friends and see what they're up to in their lives. So Brian is actually running for Potter County Justice of the Peace in Precinct 1. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And so excited to hear about, what you're doing there, why you're doing it, and what you'll bring to the table as the Justice of the Peace. That'll be really awesome. But before we do that, I'd love to just, talk about your history, maybe introduce yourself and hear more about, where you grew up and a little bit about your, childhood, where you went to school, all that good stuff. So
yeah.
Thanks for being here.
Well, thank you, Larry. This is really an honor and a privilege, a pleasure. I'm excited. I'm really excited for this opportunity. Now, you might have asked a loaded question because I'm a Baptist preacher too. So,
boy,
you give me free mic. I don't know.
We could be here for hours.
We could be here for hours. No, and I'm sorry, guys out there, but no, I'm a transplant. I'm from Kentucky originally, but I got here as fast as I could. So I love Texas. I've been here longer now than I've been at my other state there. So I've been here 35 years, been in Potter County 30 years, and I'm excited to serve this precinct in this particular way. I never thought about public office, but my whole life has been wrapped around serving, and that's what I've done here. Being raised the way I was, in Kentucky, we were a tight family. The community was tight. If someone had a hard time, we just showed up. Mm-hmm. I was raised in a blue collar home. My mom was a full-time mom of 4 children. Dad worked. He worked a labor job, so he didn't make really good money. But we weren't poor. I mean, we weren't. I don't want to bring that. I don't want to make it look that way. But we didn't have extra, so we pinched. And I remember Dad many times coming home from work and emptying our cabinets of food and canned goods and taking it to someone who had it worse than we did. And so I was raised around that type of environment. My grandfather, my mom's parents, was a big influence in my life. I lived with them as a young child for some years. My dad traveled a lot in the military, and so that gave us a stable place. Mm-hmm. So going to church was my whole life. I was practically born in the pew. Mm-hmm. And my,
same.
My papaw was also he worked for the school system. He was the head of custodial work there, and he pastored this little church. And so that also the church world was different. Pastors weren't. It wasn't a vocational. It was bivocational. Most of the pastors I knew, that's how they had regular jobs, if you want to call it that. Mm-hmm. So I was raised in kind of a unique environment where is all about really just about serving. And but throughout high school, I went from being really active in the church through elementary and junior high. I had an affinity for the church, honestly. I remember as a young boy, at 5 years old, we lived in Illinois. And Forest, Illinois. It was in between one of my dad's tours, and he was working at the federal prison there up in Pontiac. And I would walk myself to church. We had a little church down at the end of our alley. And so Dad worked nights, and so Mom, they would sleep in. And my siblings, I don't know, I can't recall. I'm sure they were probably still in bed, but I remember getting up Sunday up on my own and getting dressed and going to church. I don't.
When you were 5?
Yeah, I was 5. I was in kindergarten, Meadowbrook Elementary School, Forest, Illinois. I'd walk to that little church down there. And so I don't know. I just had an affinity for church. I can't explain that part, but I just did. So growing up, I was really active in the church until high school. And football was my whole life. I had an uncle who was a football player, and he played for Cincinnati and on a scholarship. And my brother James played for the Mountaineers, West Virginia, on a scholarship. And that was my dream. That's where I was heading. But got into my junior year, got in some trouble. Was ineligible to play, and then went. I had to go to the JP. And nothing serious. So I was fined and paid those fines, and that was it. My senior year, got caught up again with some trouble. Went back to that same JP.
Oh, he was like, "Oh, you're back."
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, my high school years where I really didn't kind of walked away from the Lord, and but at the end of my senior year, I went to the third time to that JP, and it's the same JP. And I thought this was it. It was a criminal mischief, and I thought I wasn't going to finish school. I mean, I was really scared. And so he was talking to the bailiff, and they were back and forth, and I didn't know what was going on. I was there by myself, and so no, I didn't have a lawyer or anything because it wasn't that, and my parents were working. So, and I was 17. So my dad said, "Well, you got yourself in trouble. You're going to deal with it." So anyway. I don't want to belabor too much, but he gets off the bench, starts walking towards the railing, and I'm thinking, they're taking me. I thought they were going to arrest me. And he reaches across the railing, and he said, "Mr. Tackett." He stuck his hand out like he's going to shake my hand. So I reached up, shook his hand, and he said, "If you're man enough to shake my hand, I'm man enough to give you a second chance." So the plaintiffs didn't show up, and their attorney didn't show up. So there were some mitigating circumstances there that he was able to do this for me. And as I reached up to grab his hand, he pulled me in pretty close. I could smell the cigarettes on his breath.
Yeah.
He that close, and he whispered, just said, "I don't want you to see my courtroom again." And I walked out of there, and my life changed. I had a very profound experience with God shortly after that. It wasn't religious. It wasn't in the church. It was on an old country road in Gwinnett County, Kentucky. And next thing I know, I found myself on my knees in that old country road right there on the side of the road. I mean, I was, I remember telling God, I'm done. I don't want this life. I don't want to live the way I'm living. And a real true experience with God, and my life changed. Ended up via Salt Lake City, Utah for a short minute. Ended up in Bible College in Southern California. And that's where my life really began to build. I got into a great little church there. 4 years, almost 5 years there, was deeply discipled by the church. Began Bible college. Met my wife, who was born and raised right here in Amarillo, Texas. Was going to school, or she had just finished up Amarillo College as a medical. She was in the medical field. And she came to work there in Ventura, California, where I was living. And I'd been in that church for about 2 years at that time. And she began to attend that same church. Well, I was on a mission trip over in Europe, smuggling Bibles into Eastern Europe. So during the Cold War, it was 1984, 85. And that was an incredible journey. When I get back, I meet her at our college group Bible study. And I was smitten. Right down to my socks. And I thought, she's no way I'm going to be able to date her. Long story short, within less than a year, I started dating her. We got engaged, and we was married. Within about 13 months, all that happening.
Wow. Same for me and Heather. She started, well, I'd met her before, but we knew each other because we grew up in the same town. But she started working for me in January of 99. And then in May, we had our first date.
Wow.
End of June, we were engaged. And then December, we were married.
Yeah.
When you know, you know.
Yeah, you do. And that's what happened. I was ready to be married. I think I was 23, so it wasn't like I didn't want to date. Dating was not, especially with growing up the way I did, I didn't feel like I should be dating. Just, it's just not, especially at that age.
Yeah.
And young people out there, just be careful, you know,
Yes.
be looking for your wife, especially as a Christian.
Totally.
So anyway, she was coming back, actually. She had her plane ticket. She was moving back to Amarillo.
Mm-hmm.
And so literally I was like, I went to my pastor and I said, "What? I'm in love. I'm just going to ask you to marry me." So long, I planned it the night before she left. Did I tell you? This is good, guys. So I wrote a song.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I practiced it. My youth pastor showed me the chords, how to play it on the guitar.
Uh-huh.
And there was this place up on the hill in Ventura that overlooks the ocean. It's beautiful. There's a big giant cross up there. So I planned it all out. And me and her, I sang her the song. I got on my knee, gave her the ring. She said yes. So I'm on a plane to Texas the next day.
Oh my goodness.
And
wow.
So we were married and we lived here, raised our 2 children here. They're adult children. My daughter's in her she's 31. My son's 27. I got 2 grandkids, a 2.5-year-old and a 6-month-old.
Mm-hmm.
And an incredible daughter-in-law, and 37 years with my one and only, Jenna, who has stayed with me thick and thin.
Oh, yeah.
In that process, I had 2 failed businesses that not only bankrupted me financially, emotionally, and physically, but almost destroyed my marriage.
Mm-hmm.
We were living in Redding at the time, and we'd left here for a short minute. I had an internship in Redding that we went to, and we moved back. She was packing her bags up one day, and I said, "What's going on?" She says, "I'm going back to Texas. I'm done with this." I mean, I was just a terrible person. And I had been, you know, we had me married a year, and I'd been a Christian about not even 3 years at the time. And anyway, don't want to belabor that too much, but I said, "Well, I'm coming with you."
Yeah.
You know, that was easy.
Absolutely. You're like, well, you're not getting away from me that easy.
So we moved back here, and then we've been married almost 2 years at the time, and so he raised our kids here, and I started the business in 2002. I got in the insurance world, and so and then I got my securities license shortly after. So I built an insurance and financial service agency that I had for, like I said, about 24, almost 25 years. Prior to that, I was selling insurance out of my house. So I was totally in the insurance world for about 27, 28 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I met you.
Yeah.
Shortly, I had not been in the business very long, and I met you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I was almost 500 pounds at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's been a journey.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sitting here today at 270 pounds.
Nice.
Now, so
wow, what a difference.
Yeah, it's totally life away. So I sold my agency in 2021, stayed in the industry working for a buddy of mine because I love life insurance. I just think I enjoy selling it. I enjoy helping families. So I still do that for a friend of mine, and he's been very kind and gracious to me to do what I'm doing now. And so I still in the insurance world, but when I sold my agency, I was the chairperson for Precinct 1 at Potter County, and our job was to get people to register and get them to vote. That was kind of what I did. When I became a Christian, when I turned 18, I turned 18 on January 4th. I was registered to vote before January 15th. I don't know why. My parents wasn't big on that, but something drove me. I just was excited about registering to vote, and I've been a voter. I vote. That's been part of my life. But I'm not deep in politics, although I feel like we have a desperate responsibility as Christians, especially, to be involved. We have to be a part of the process. And if you're not, then you don't complain. Don't come to me to complain because I won't listen to you. You need to be part of the process. So I think the precinct chair was a lot of fun. I got to learn a lot. Well, in that, I heard the current judge was Debbie Horn was going to retire. And I thought, well, that might be kind of cool. So I researched it. Because I'm thinking, I won't qualify. I'm thinking you're going to have a degree or be a lawyer. Well, in Texas, you don't have to. So in Texas, you just live in the precinct you're going to serve and have a clean record. You can't have any criminal record, any type of legal record, which I qualified for.
Yep.
And so, and then I began to learn about inquests and disputes and truancy. And then they do some arraignments. So the legal side of a JP is very, very. There's 4 major areas I just mentioned. So 1/4 of that is just the criminal aspect. You do arraignments. You set bonds. You can issue warrants. But the 3/4 of it, truancy, which is a big problem in Texas or across the country, actually, is kids not going to school. And then inquests, which is when somebody passes away.
Okay.
Their loved one, family member passes away. The JP comes in and helps process that. And then disputes, neighbors having disputes over their property line or something, or tenant landlord disputing over the rent. And so 3/4 of that, I've been living it, in all my adult life, my career in the insurance world. I mean, I think it really applies to disputes, because when you file a claim on your home and, you got a $300,000, $1 million home, and you got a claim on that, that can be a big financial responsibility.
Oh, yeah.
And then as investments, handling other people's money, I feel like that prepares me, especially with tax dollars, being more responsible. But when you settle a dispute between an insurance carrier and the insured, which as the agent, I'm responsible for both parties. I got to make sure the insurance company doesn't get defrauded. And then I got to make sure that the insured gets treated properly according to their contract. So when it comes to settling disputes, I feel like I have a hands up on my opponent for sure. And then truancy, I love kids. I've been a community coach my whole adult life here in Precinct 1. I still coach at the Maverick Club. I coach basketball there. That's my fun thing I get to do.
Nice.
And then, I was a substitute teacher and a school mentor at several different schools here. And so I'm big on education, and I'm a big proponent of our young people. They're our future. We need to protect them. And so truancy is going to be something that's going to be top of my list. Being proactive is going to be a key to that, not getting out from behind the bench and getting out in front of the bench and getting in these schools and trying to find out why these kids don't want to go. Truancy is a symptom of a bigger problem. And then inquest, I'm a current pastor. I was a trauma chaplain at Northwest for almost 8, 9, 10 years there. And then I served almost 10 years at Ushery Roan Veterans Home as a chaplain. So when it comes to the inquest, I have a deep, broad understanding of what families go through during that time. There's no way to slice that pipe. It's bad.
Oh, yeah.
It's a difficult time. I'm going to have the wisdom, the understanding, and the compassion to be able to help them walk through that process. And so I'm really excited about it. And that's kind of my experience with the JPs that I had when I was a kid. Who knows what would have happened otherwise. And so whenever she decided to retire here recently, I got one of the county commissioners called me and said, "Brian, you need to run. She's retiring." And my mind went to that moment there, that third time standing in front of that same JP, and realized, thinking, this is it. I'm going to juvie or something. And my life could have really went a completely different direction. And so I thought, you know what? This is going to be exciting. I feel like I would love to be the judge, because that's going to give me, I've been doing the work in a way, but I think as a JP, it broadens my platform and gives me, I think, the deeper authority level that I can really make a bigger impact than I'm making as just a community member.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, because if the judge is talking to you from behind the bench, I mean, it's that's a scary thing.
Yeah.
I had a similar experience growing up. I was raised in church. Mama had me there Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, every week without fail. And, then in high school, just totally went wild and, didn't feel like I could follow all the rules. I was like, man, I can't follow all these rules, every one of these rules. I just thought, it was very legalistic, kind of my upbringing, where, if you didn't follow every rule, you're just like going to burn in hell. And I was like, this is too much. So I just ran wild. I was like, I just won't follow any rules. And ended up in trouble with the law, just like you. But I didn't get caught for everything, thankfully. So
yeah, well, probably, I don't know. Maybe not me either. I don't know.
Yeah. Statute of limitations has passed now, so I think we're good. But we're not going to talk about every single thing. So yeah, and there were some. My mom was the secretary to the chief of police. So she, every time I got caught for anything, she would hear about it, and they wouldn't usually take me, they wouldn't usually arrest me or take me out or whatever. They would just kind of call my mom, which was worse than Like, bro, just take me to jail. Don't tell my mom. Do not tell my mom, please. But yeah, there were some of those authority figures that were, law enforcement guys or whatever that certainly made an impact on me to kind of scare me straight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know if if we knew everything about ourselves, we'd probably be scaring each other.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's God's grace.
It is. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm a trophy of that for sure.
Me too.
Yeah. So
So that's awesome. So you're I'm excited for you to be doing this. You've done a lot of different things. So you've had a lot of experience that's prepared you for this moment.
Well, pastoring a church was something I wanted to do. So when I that experience I referred to earlier in our conversation off camera,
Mm-hmm.
when I had that very very dramatic and profound experience with God.
Yeah.
Being raised by my grandfather, who was my pastor all my life,
Mm-hmm.
and a praying grandmother. My grandmother, if she prayed for you, you better just give up and give your life to Jesus because she ain't gonna quit. And so uh, I just felt like I wanted to be like my grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to pastor a church. And that's kind of what then within matters of weeks, I was in Bible college. And I went through Salt Lake City, Utah for a short, about not even a year there. I went in the Job Corps, actually, is what ended up happening. I didn't know really what to do. I lost eligibility for football, so that was just out of the question.
Right.
And going to college was like really foreign to me.
Yeah.
Where I grew up, you joined the Army, you got married, and then when you got done with the Army, you come back and work for Armco Steel. That was your life.
Yeah.
My grandfather lived that way. My dad, he worked for Armco Steel, and so anyway, that wasn't my cup of tea.
Yeah.
And so I went in the Job Corps, and that helped me. That was a stability in my life that then enabled me then to go off to Bible college after I finished. And that's how I ended up in Southern California. But so God just he just took me and went, whoop. I felt like he just pulled me out of that mess and he transplanted me and gave me a healthier place to begin to mature in my life and to understand my faith better and walk with God a little closer. And so that was a pivotal point, I think. It was my Abraham journey, really. That's what I sometimes refer to it as.
Okay.
Just in a foreign place, people I didn't know, all by myself. There were some struggles, hard times. I remember my first week in Job Corps, I called Dad and said, I want to come home. He said, no, son. You made a good decision. Stick it out. You're going to be just fine. You'll make it. I remember just thinking I made a big mistake. So my dad was a farm man, a hard man, but he was a great dad. He never missed practices. He'd come to my sporting events and he worked hard. And so he was a really good dad, but he was firm. He was a military man.
Yeah.
So when he said jump, you just asked how high.
Right.
That kind of thing.
Totally.
So,
totally.
But I being here in Amarillo has been a blessing for sure. And I love this community and I want to serve it well.
Absolutely. I know you will. When is so you're in the runoff now, right?
Yeah. So the primary vote, there was 3 of us running. And so now there's 2. In order to win the primary, you had to have 51% of the vote. And so 2 of us, we were in the 40s. And so we're in a runoff vote. And so I really wanted to make a plea here, if I may, because the runoff vote is, the primary, unfortunately, the primary vote is really low turnout. There's 16,000 voters in Precinct 1, and we had 2,400 voters. And 345 didn't even vote for the JP spot. They just skipped it. They're called overvotes.
Okay.
And when you you skip over. Right.
Yeah.
So they came probably, for the propositions that we had. And then, of course, we had the big Senate races and stuff. And so they voted for those probably, but they just skipped over the JP. So we had 345 of those 24 didn't even vote for us.
Right.
So the JP was voted just under 2,100 votes. And now the runoff, they statistically say about 10% or less that turned out for the primary, which was right around 2,400. Including the overvotes. So you're going to figure probably less than 200.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of the statistics on how it works out.
So we need you guys to get out and vote in this runoff.
Yeah.
course, we have a bigger pool because there's the big Senate race. So Cornyn and Patrick they're in a runoff.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're anticipating more voters because of that, but then people overvote. So they'll skip the JP spot. They'll just come and vote for the Senate.
Mm-hmm.
So we need y'all to vote for
Yes.
the JP. Go out and you can go to trusttackett.com and you can learn about my history and why I feel like I'm the best candidate for this position.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, would you please vote for the JP spot? And I'd ask that you put a check by Brian Tackett.
Absolutely. And Ken Paxton. Let me just go on record and say,
I said Patrick, didn't I? Paxton. Yeah. I meant Paxton. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. We gotta get rid of John Cornyn. He's a rhino, and he's terrible. And we need Ken Paxton, somebody that's really going to stand up for, Texas values, conservative values, and I know you'll do that as well. So
I'm very conservative Republican. I don't even know. I was talking to because I've been a Republican all my life, but just like either side of the aisle, it's changed a lot.
Oh yeah.
So I'm a conservative first, I think maybe.
Yeah.
But I I still stand for the Republican values, traditionally speaking. So
yeah.
Yes, we need to vote. We need to make our voices. People say, well, we need term limits. Well, we do have term limits. Go vote.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can vote them out.
Vote out that 12 years. That's long enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, even if you're doing an okay job, 12 years you're good. I think we just need to. It wasn't designed as a vocation.
Right.
It's designed as a service position.
Exactly.
You need to be serving the community. You should be So I'm going to get bored.
Shouldn't be a hey, you can be controversial here. I don't care.
We just got to stop it.
Yeah.
We got to stop this massive gain of wealth as a public servant.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's it should not be a means to gain wealth. It should be a means to serve. And if you look back to the early time in America, people that were politicians, they had other jobs. And so they were senators, or they were House reps, or they were, obviously the president didn't have a different job, but it was not it was a service. It was, and still, anybody who goes, well, the way I look at politics is this way. The really good people are the people that don't want to be in it. You know what I mean? The people that don't want to be in politics are really the ones that should be in politics, and the ones that really want to be in politics, a lot of times they're not the right ones because they're, they have different motivations. And that's why I think you have so many conservative-minded people that don't get involved in politics because they think, oh, well, they're just building their business, they're taking care of their family, they're doing the things that really matter, and they don't want to be bothered with that. But then on the liberal side of the aisle, a lot of those guys, they have less kids, they're less entrepreneurial, so they don't. A lot of times they're more drawn to politics, and less belief in God, and just statistically speaking, there's a one side of the aisle that is more God focused, and one side of the aisle that's not.
And it's profound. I mean, it's
huge.
Not hard to see that.
Oh, absolutely.
In my opinion,
yeah,
hard to see that. Yeah,
yeah. You're not running against a Democrat in the
yes
in the runoff, right?
I will be not in the runoff.
In the runoff. So you finish the runoff, and then
when I finish the runoff, there is a Democrat running for the JP for Precinct 1, Potter County.
Okay.
And I've met him twice, David Martinez. I mean, he's a teacher. He serves the community well, but he's younger, and I think most likely being on the Democrat side, there's going to be more of the liberal approach to things versus the conservative, especially when it comes to some of these issues like disputes. When you're talking about property disputes, the law is the law, period. And
exactly.
And I will be faithful to the law.
Mm-hmm.
They provide intense training. We go through 80 hours of training. What I bring to the table, you can't learn in a book.
Mm-hmm.
You can't learn sensitivity, compassion, faith. When you walk into someone's home at 2:00 in the morning and their husband's had a heart attack and is laying in the bed deceased. Holy mackerel.
Wow.
I mean, no book's going to teach you what to do there.
Yeah.
So I bring real world experience through service and wisdom.
Yeah.
The legal side, when it comes to setting bonds and issuing warrants and those type of things, then we go through 80 hours of training up front, and then we continually being trained each year through the same, what you call continuing education, I suppose.
Right.
So that when it comes to arraignments, I'll learn all that from that training.
Right.
But so the law is the law. We're going to be faithful to that. But I think the reason why Texas did not design it around having a legal degree is they wanted somebody that was within the community, of the community, by the community, that has sound judgment, common sense, and just and having a fair sense of compassion, wisdom, and understanding. And so most people that come to those kind of courts are not criminal. I mean, they're the everyday people that are working hard, taking care of the families, but they end up in a minor dispute with a neighbor, or their child gets off track at school and they start missing school and they're struggling. I talked to a parent here not so long ago who is a teacher, and he said, Brian, I was so embarrassed because I'm a teacher and my son was skipping school and missing school, and it ended up being truant. And so these are real people with real futures. And so that's why I think Texas designed the JP the way they did.
Yeah.
Because it's not, you don't have to have a lawyer, and most people can't afford a lawyer on top of that, probably, right?
Right.
I mean, right? I mean,
it is not cheap to pay for lawyers.
So you come to a JP court, and most of the people that's going to come to JP court are going to be the everyday people that's not going to have a criminal record. It's someone's passed away or something like that, and you're going to come in front of me or a speeding ticket. And so you're not going to have a lawyer.
Yeah.
So the JP really needs to have that way of the sense about themselves that they can sit and listen to both sides and make a good, sound judgment. Now, when it comes to the legal matters, like I said, that's pretty easy because the law is set in place and we go by the law.
Yeah.
But where it gets hard is when the waters gets muddied, is when you have a situation where it's not so much about the legal aspects of the law, but just about the community aspect of service. And so I think that's where I'm going to shine brighter, and it's what I'm going to bring to the court.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, have you been to the JP before?
Oh no, we got to go there. I've had a number of speeding tickets in my career, my race car driver career.
I saw you pull in the parking lot. I jumped out of the way.
I know. Yeah, it's I've been to the JP a lot, actually. Yeah, a number of times in all counties, all across the state of Texas and other states too. So I have a lead foot.
Well, I have been fortunate. It's been a long time since I've been to the JP. I wouldn't even hear a minute when I followed Jenna here from California. I got a speeding ticket on 10th Street coming from Eastern down to Grand Street.
Yeah,
that 10th Street right there. I come flying down through there. Apparently, boy, he tagged me.
Oh yeah,
and wasn't here. I wouldn't even hear a month. I got in front of the JP. So, but I haven't been in front for that and that's the only time I was a speeding ticket. But it's been a long time.
Yeah,
so I'm doing good. Yeah,
it's been a little while for me, but it's I've got the system down. I got the attorney that sends the letter now, so I don't even have to go. Let the attorney send the letter. Get on deferred adjudication.
Yeah,
be good for 90 days.
There's a good
and pay a little extra. I'm fine with paying the fine, but. When I get in the car, it's like a race with that car in front of me. I got to race him, and then you get your GPS. You got to race against the GPS. Oh, it says it's going to take 2.5 hours. I bet I can make it in 2 hours and 15. Let's go.
Yeah, there you go. Well, when my son's senior year, that team was the first team since 1963 that made it to the playoffs.
Yeah,
we beat the Mojo that year.
Oh yeah,
in Lubbock. I almost hyperventilated and passed out. I was so excited.
Yeah.
So travel all over the state of Texas during that time period. Yeah, it was, you gotta take that 2.5 hour trip and try to get it squeezed down,
shave down a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Make it to the game on time.
Just part of being a man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just part of being a man.
Had some fun. Yeah. That was a blast that year. We had a good team.
And that was Amarillo High?
Tascosa.
Yeah, okay.
Amarillo High's been to playoffs a few times, more so. But Tascosa, I take that back. Not just the playoff, but we went too deep. So that second game when we played, they called it the Ice Bowl. We was scheduled for a Friday. What year was that? It snowed. It snowed ice. The Dick Bivens was frozen over. They postponed it to Saturday. They canceled it on Saturday to Sunday. They didn't have it Sunday. They had it Monday. Finally had it Monday, and it was still ice. It was cold that game. And we were playing Allen, and they had a junior that was already a 5-star.
Wow.
quarterback, and we held them.
Mm-hmm.
That ice just was too much for him. We were up by 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and I jump up and said, "We're going to Dallas." And like 3 parents turned around and gave me the stink eye. I said, "What did you just say?" And by golly, within that fourth quarter, we ended up losing that game.
Oh,
and we lost it by 7 points. That was terrible.
Oh,
but
my goodness.
They blame me.
Yeah, of course.
I said
you jinxed it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, no
superstition.
Yeah, But that was a fun year, and it's a good time for the kids. And I just love sports.
I do too.
That's why I love coaching. And
yeah, I love watching my kids play sports.
Yeah,
I love football. I love Dallas Cowboys. That's it. That's the only thing I watch. Dallas Cowboys football. I know it's. Oh,
not that I'm Catholic. I'm just saying
it's been a lot of years. A lot of years of pain.
Trust me, I've been suffering too long. Too long.
Yep.
Yeah. So
you mentioned Mojo. I grew up in Abilene. So I went to Abilene Cooper, and we were in District 4 or 5A. So at that time, that was, Abilene High, Abilene Cooper, Midland High, Midland Lee, Odessa Permian, Odessa High. It was a powerhouse district, and it was really cool to be a part of. We actually beat them my senior year too. Yeah. That was anytime you beat them, it's a good day.
Well, I'm being a football fan, that's my favorite sport, and when all that happened down there, I was a senior in high school in 1983. It was the 82-83 season, I believe, is when they got they lost their eligibility when they got caught recruiting.
Yep.
And Coach Plonk was down there. Coach Plonk is the Tascosa coach. He was down there as an assistant coach during that whole Mojo thing. Whenever they got, and so Friday Night Lights was that's my favorite. And you just can't. And I still go to the games when the Tascosa plays at home. I go, and you just can't beat Friday Night Under the Lights. There's something about it. And high school, and I don't know.
Absolutely,
it's a pretty cool deal.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
So.
Well, cool. Well, and I'm glad you were able to come on today, and we were able to get the schedules together. And
yeah, well, this has been a true honor. Again, I just want to shout out to May 18th through the 22nd is early vote, and that's right here. It's coming.
Oh yeah.
So just mark your calendars. I would just encourage everybody to go out May 18th and vote, and that way it's off your plate, and that way if something happens, you're not going to miss. So
right.
Out there on the 18th and vote, and then the 26th is the election day. And so that's it. And then once that's over, we'll have a winner for sure. And I'm hoping to be your justice of the peace.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure you're going to do great. It's going to be awesome. Get out and vote. Let's see if we can get 400 votes instead of just 200.
That would be fantastic. And I again, trusttackett.com. And there's also good information about what qualifies a JP and some of the history of the JP, which is quite interesting. It goes back to the Crown of England. They developed that system because as the Crown began to grow and the Great Britain grew, that a lot of the smaller towns wasn't getting represented, and they were having minor crimes just go rampant. And so they called them peacekeepers initially. And around 1300 was one of the first peacekeepers. And so that's kind of where the JP started. When they brought it over here to the United States, then it changed to justice of the peace.
Okay. Interesting.
So a lot of history.
And
that's on my website if you'd like to check that out.
All right. Trusttackett.com, which is Tackett is Tackett.
Correct. Yeah.
All right.
And I got my Facebook page under the Potter County Justice of the Peace Precinct 1.
Okay.
Brian Tackett.
Yeah. And we'll put the link to the website in the show notes.
That'd be perfect.
So you guys can see it there. All right. Well, you guys have a great day. Brian, thanks for coming. Have a great day.
Well, thanks, Larry. I appreciate it. I'm going to have a great day on purpose.
That's right.
All right.
Success isn't just about money. It's about winning in every area of life. Welcome to the Larry Holsey Podcast, where we dive into leadership, business, personal growth, investing, and family so you can prosper the way God intended. I'm Larry Holsey, and each episode will bring you the wisdom, strategies, and motivation to help you level up in every part of your life. So if you're ready to grow, lead, and succeed, let's get started. That's a wrap for today. If you got value from this episode, make sure to subscribe so you never miss a show. And if this message resonated with you, share it with a friend and connect with me on social media. I'm at Larry Holsey, and I'd love to hear how you're applying these lessons in your own journey. So remember, success is more than just one area of life. You want to keep growing, keep leading, and keep prospering the way God intended. We'll see you next time.